Krochik in game. Gonna get you guys into this one. I love that transition. I know like every streamer uses it, but it's because Riot was like, yeah, here's a transition. And we were all like, that's dope as hell. Oh, the volume's already up. Sick. Right? Yeah. All right, so here we are. Krochik versus Philps. I believe we saw Philps earlier today. Weren't sitting on his side of the stream, but did get a chance to take a look. And it will be, ooh, TF Swain. That's what I like to see. That's a good one. Ooh, this is a little bit laggy. Hopefully it picks up. Ooh, that is some weird rendering issues. All right, it looks like the stream is adjusting itself, and we do have... Okay. Sejuani... Is this Sejuani Ezreal, or is this... Oh, is this Sejuani Teemo? Okay, so it looks like we have Sejuani Teemo on the side of Krochik. I'm a little worried about the stream quality, though. If this continues, we won't be able to stick around. We do have a couple of backup streams. Of course, I would like to watch Krochik, especially if he is running this Teemo Sejuani deck. It's a little laggy, but it's manageable. Hopefully it doesn't pick up. Yeah, I think this is, like, watchable. Unfortunately, you guys won't get to tell me until 5 minutes in, so even if you tell me in a timely fashion, then there will be a 5-minute delay. Like, I'll get it 5 minutes late, and this will still be happening. There's a chance that it's Ezreal, but all of the shroom generation definitely makes me think that it's Teemo. This is a deck that I've heard a fair bit about. The synergies are understandable. The shrooms activate Plunder as well as tick up Sejuani pretty quickly. There's even a non-zero chance that we see like the shrooms fired off here immediately from Krochik. It is probably better to wait until you have out this Puffcat Peddler, get a few more shrooms into the deck. I just noticed that there is no desktop audio, but I think that's because Krochik has their game muted. I don't think that's actually anything on our end. Yeah, we do see this come down. With the Death Hand out of the way, there's really not a lot that Philps has that can challenge onto this, at least not for free. Noxian Fervor is a pretty big commitment to take out something as simple as a Puffcat Peddler. And that is just going to be a pass of the turn from Philps. And the shrooms fired off from Krochik. And interestingly enough, generally people hold the shrooms until there's less cards in deck. You know, you want to be mana efficient, blah, 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 whatever you want to call it. But Krochik does need to start ticking up these shrooms as quickly as possible and just get Philps drawing them as quickly as possible to sort of go for this Sejuani level up. Is this a frozen stream? Are the shroom... If the shroom animations break the stream, there's no way we can watch this. Oh, it is stuttering pretty badly. I'll give it a second to pick itself up, but okay. Yeah, no, I don't think this is yeah, this isn't. We got to dip. We got to back out, boys. We're going somewhere else. We're going to go check out Hand of Mine. This is a player that we've watched a couple of times, but he is X2, so he is fighting for his tournament life as well. We do see him with the Scout deck against Real Key. Real Key playing another MF Bannerman deck, or MF Scouts. A Hired Gun, I'm not actually sure generally if you see Hired Gun. It does mean that it's MF Scouts, but kind of hard to know for sure. But Hand of Mine, if I remember correctly, is a hardcore pilfer. What was it again? Sorry, I was like all prepped for the other match, and then when the stream kind of didn't live up to expectations, I didn't have the backup decks pulled up just yet. And I know we watched Hand of Mine earlier. I do not remember what this deck actually is. Pretty sure it's okay, it's MF Sejuani. There we go. I knew it was something kind of weird. Yeah, and there's Yordle Grifters in here. There's only 9 Freljord cards. Okay, I remember this now. And there are warning shots in the main, which is probably the most interesting thing about this deck. We do see an MF now picked up for both players. And the Quinn on the side of Real Key does mean that this Misfortune can't come down, at least pre-combat. And once the MF and Quinn come down, it feels so good, especially in a deck that's so light on removal, like Hand of Mine's. And there are really no good blockers here. I think this MF has to at least be out of 1 out of 3 already. This should be 2 out of 4 rather. Should be the scout attack. The MF now relatively safe to come down as there are no more challengers on the side of Real Key, but I'm still a little hard pressed to imagine him blocking with it. Jagged Butcher now. There's a couple of okay trades on the side of Hand of Mine. Could take out the Bright Steel Protector and the Hired Gun. Real Key not willing to put his Misfortune in the line of duty. This kind of reads to me like a Ranger's Resolve. I'm hard-pressed to imagine Real Key actually attacking with these if that's not the case, especially after the Misfortune came down. No, but actually not the case. Okay. Real Key just deciding that they're not worth it as long as the board is getting traded. He doesn't really care how it's done and does get to push through all of this damage. Things looking kind of rough for Hand of Mine. Without another unit, there's no way to actually activate the Pilfer or the Citrus Courier. Make It Rain. If Make It Rain comes down and doesn't hit face, I think that's game over for Hand of Mine. There's a good chance that he might just have to fire off his Pilfered Goods for 1. It's not something that you love to see, but you got to do what you got to do. Just an attack with the MF. That's definitely going to get blocked by the Jagged Butcher. But pushes the 1 damage. This does activate the Pilfered Goods and the Citrus Courier. Really unfortunate for Hand of Mine, but does have to get the activators down and the Grizzled Ranger. If the MF is at 3 out of 4, which I believe she is, then this is going to be a disastrous turn for Hand of Mine. Picks up a Ranger's Resolve and an Island Navigator. Island Navigator, not the card that you want to draw, since you have already used your attack token this turn. Make It Rain at least hits the Grizzled Ranger. That's actually a pretty good hit if the play is to play the Citrus Courier in attack. Ooh, Relentless Pursuit's a big one out of Hand of Mine, or out of Real Key rather. And if that MF is as close to upgrade as I think it is, then this should be the end of game number 1 in favor of Real Key, especially since it was played in response to something. Does mean Real Key immediately gets to go to attacks. Yeah, oh, okay. The MF was only at 2 out of 4. I could have sworn she had been on the field a little bit longer. Ticked up, but Citrus Courier puts you up to 8, but I don't think that's enough since Quinn will upgrade, pull that to the side. Island Navigator. I'm not seeing a way out of this for Hand of Mine. Citrus Courier is just going to get gobbled up by Valor over off to the side in conjunction with the MF ability. It's 5 damage, as well as just pushing through lethal with the mass amount of units that he has on board. Island Navigator's your best bet, but I'm not sure what 1-drop you could make to save yourself here, and that's definitely not it. Since it is going to get challenged out by Valor, MF's going to evolve as well, which means the Island Navigator can't even trade onto anything. And there's even a Quinn's Blinding Assault. Just pulling out another challenger. It's lethal either way. I don't think there's anything Hand of Mine can do. The Ranger's Resolve going to have absolutely no impact on the outcome of this game. And yeah, Real Key gets down the MF Quinn, and there's a reason that we consistently see these scout decks continue to pop up in the meta. Just a very powerful unit. A very powerful champion combination. Work beautifully together, getting a turbo MF level up. I feel like I've seen Misfortune in decks that don't have Quinn in them, and they're consistently unimpressive. It's so difficult for the MF to actually level. She doesn't actually do a whole lot on her front side. Don't get me wrong, like front side MF is good. It's just not great, and it definitely doesn't feel like the value 3-drop, sort of like Draven and Fiora are, where you can just include them in any deck willy-nilly. Now we are going to see Hand of Mine run it back on this Sejuani deck, fighting for his tournament life here. Both these players are X2, if I have read the bracket correctly, which means they are potentially playing for a spot in the top 8. Not a guaranteed spot, but a potential spot. And now the Endure Spiders. You would have to assume that on paper, Hand of Mine could be a little bit favored here. historically, MF decks do pretty well against indoor spiders. It's really hard for them to stall out. And actually getting really greedy and keeping the pilfered goods. A little bit of an interesting choice, I think. Not guaranteed to get down some early damage against indoor spiders. They do tend to play out an early board nicely on curve. Can be hard to push through the damage, but gonna keep this one. Does have the Make It Rain to make it a little more viable. Can almost guarantee push through some face damage at any given moment. It's not a bad hand for Hand of Mine. The Island Navigator, pretty nice turn 4 play, especially given that Hand of Mine will have the attack token on 4. Just a little bit of a damage trade. The Evergross and Sentry, a great addition to the Indoor Spider decks. I really like this card in the deck. I know that not every Indoor Spider player runs it, but I do absolutely love running that card when you can. Looks like this is a Vile Feast. Yeah, Vile Feast coming down onto the Hired Gun. It's a little awkward. I don't think you want to fire off your Make It Rain into Pilfered Goods here. I do think you want to bank a little bit more and get off both Pilfered Goods in the same turn, but it does set up nicely for the Island Navigator turn. It's possible that he was just waiting until combat. Yeah, that is going to be the case. Just wanted to see if Real Key would play another unit pre-combat. Get a little bit more Make It Rain value, but it's just going to fire it off here, no problem. And there's actually a Glimpse Beyond onto the Spider. And the Pilfered Goods almost certainly going to come out here, followed by Island Navigator into open attack. The Yordle Grifter's not a bad turn 4 either. Creating the warning shot for late game value does actually make a lot of sense in the way that Hand of Mine has built the deck. But I do think that attacking with the scouts when you can seems great. It looks like Hand of Mine will agree. When your opponent has the open board and you have, ooh, a Fleet Feather Tracker. Actually not super impactful as it doesn't have Challenger. Just a little unfortunate. And the Elise. Yeah, the block there makes sense. Otherwise, you're eating 8 damage if you choose not to block anything. And you might as well block on the scout attack instead of the other attack. I don't think we're going to see a block onto the Island Navigator as well. Yeah, it is just going to be a pass. A block here would definitely surprise me. Unless Real Key just follows it up with something like another Elise. But even then, letting the damage get pushed through seems fine. You're at a pretty high life total. These Fury of the Norths actually seem a little bit weird to me in this deck. Real Key gonna fire off a Brood Awakening, going to set up Hand of Mine for a beautiful Withering Wail, about as good as you could possibly get. Which does set him up for some good open attacks again with the Scout. Here we might, like, if you're gonna Fury of the North, this feels like the spot where it would come out to help push through the damage, but that also feels so bad because it's so likely that your opponent is going to set up something after you play it. You're really only pushing through 4 damage. And it's such an expensive tool for saving units. I guess it's just like me as a player, I'm definitely not sold on Fury of the North. It has been popping up in more and more decks lately. I definitely think like I'm in the minority there of not loving this card. But Hand of Mine doesn't get an Elise evolved on him. There is another Elise coming down. The power of the uptrading could be important here. Yeah, the Elise attack makes sense. It's fearsome. Island Navigator can't block it. It's just going to throw a block down onto the Spider, though. And Real Key has had a lot of units die this game so far, and Hand of Mine is not equipped with tools to deal with They Who Endure. No Frostbite in the deck. At least not outside of Sejuani. But Sejuani can be hard to trigger, given the small amount of spells in the deck. The Yordle Grifter here will create a warning shot, which will be able to trigger that later on, but actually a little surprised that Hand of Mine didn't go for the open attack first. You're not playing any additional scouts, so it doesn't feel like there's a lot of reason to let your opponent get down more units before you go for the scout attack. And you can always just do whatever you want afterwards. Brood Awakening number 2. So Warning Shot Sejuani is one of your best Frostbite answers. But I think we're actually not very close to the Sejuani level up either. Okay, not even going for the scout attack, unless it happened earlier and I missed it, which isn't impossible, I guess. But yeah, just not wanting to get the Island Navigator eaten by the Elise for free. Makes sense. You are off Fury of the North mana. And you do want to get this Pilfer off to get, or yeah, the Plunder off in order to get down your Black Market Merchant. And Realkey's pretty unlikely to block here. He's really got to weigh the options of, is it worth it to keep my opponent off of Plunder in order to not evolve my Elise? And I feel like the answer has to be no. This Elise evolution can push through a lot of damage here, given that Hand of Mine doesn't have a second Fearsome blocker. So one of these spiders will just get to pull this Yordle Grifter all the way to the right, and his second Withering Wail picked up by Hand of Mine. Just cannot miss. These spider boards mean nothing to him as he consistently takes Realkey's Withering Wails away from him. And the Yordle Grifter did whiff, so we knew a Freljord card was coming off the top. Sejuani, almost certainly the best one you could have asked for. They Who Endure comes out as an 8/8, which is honestly not as threatening as an Endure could be. But with things like Fury of the North and Citrus Courier kind of flooding up the Hand of Mine without finding Misfortune to push through the spider boards, things are looking a little dicey here for him. And it looks like that's a 3 out of 5 on the Sejuani. So potential to get it upgraded relatively soon. It depends on if Hand of Mine wants to fire off the warning shot this turn. It seems a little dicey since you probably do need to fire off this warning shot in the same turns that you're Pilfered Goodsing. The Withering Wail is nice, but the Withering Wail pre-combat is nice because it stops any challengers going down onto your Yordle Grifter, which means you can definitely block the Elise with that. Or if your opponent wants to eat something like your Black Market Merchant, then they're killing their own Elise. It kind of sucks that you don't get Fury of the North to block the They Who Endure with. Looks like a Glimpse Beyond going to come out here. But yeah, Hand of Mine just finds himself in a really awkward situation where this warning shot is suddenly very pivotal to your strategy. You need it to get this Elise off, or this Sejuani up. You need it to fire off this Pilfered Goods, and you don't have the mana to do both in the same turn. It looks like we will see the warning shot here. Since it is burst speed, you know, it'll still tech up the Sejuani for this turn, and then you get the Pilfered Goods off. Kind of sucks that you didn't get the Sejuani down, but you can use that to push a lot of damage onto the They Who Endure next turn. And I think that's one of the reasons Hand of Mine was thinking about the Sejuani so heavily, was because it would frostbite out that They Who Endure, at least for the turn. Now up to 20. Not in danger, actually, of dying to Endure Atrocity currently. It will be the kill onto the Black Market Merchant, which is fine. It's just the... It's already gotten its value, and how did Hand of Mine get the third Withering Wail? Poor Realkey lines up 2 Brood Awakenings, gets stunned out by his own Withering Wails, and then Hand of Mine says, okay, I'm done Withering Wailing your Brood Awakenings, I'm taking both of them away from you this time. And we see Hand of Mine with the 3rd Withering Wail out of Realkey's deck, as well as the 3rd Brood Awakening. And now with 4 damage actually pushed onto this They Who Endure, Sejuani can kill it this turn, which would also upgrade her. The Scout attack is... It's a little... Okay, it looks like we're going to get off Fury of the North instead of Sejuani. So it still pushes the same amount of damage no matter what, because Sejuani does have Overwhelm. The difference is, like, you trade your board for that Overwhelm damage. Ooh, and the 1 Tryndamere picked up from Realkey. Sejuani definitely has to come down this turn, and I'm pretty sure it still comes down onto Endure. You do have Fury of the North to actually block the Tryndamere. And this lets you get down your Black Market Merchant as well, if that's something that you're interested in. And this will upgrade the Sejuani. Ugh, I don't like doing it onto the Tryndamere. I think this just gives your opponent too many threats, because you're only going to be able to block one of these next turn. So I'd rather my opponent only have 1 unit. Because currently I don't think there's a way for Hand of Mine to trigger this Sejuani next turn to frostbite the board. I definitely would have preferred to kill the Endure and then block Fury of the North to Tryndamere. I don't think there's anything in Real Key's deck either that this Black Market Merchant can steal. Yeah, Omen Hawk. I mean, it's a unit. But unless there's like a warning shot off the top for Hand of Mine, this could just be lethal through with an Atrocity. Okay, so I don't think this is lethal. If Atrocity comes out onto Tryndamere to try and push through lethal, then I do think Fury of the North onto the Black Market Merchant actually saves Hand of Mine, which is definitely not the play I expected. That's also not what I expected. The Fury of the North onto the Tryndamere, but this does mean that Hand of Mine can throw the second Fury of the North onto the Sejuani, sort of cancel that out. But if there's another Fury of the North from Real Key, then things get really scary. There is a lot of cards in both players' hand. Thankfully, Real Key off the Atrocity mana. Hand of Mine out of mana for the turn, unless he wants to throw in a Hapless Aristocrat. Does mean that Hand of Mine might be able to actually clean this one up next turn with an open attack from the Sejuani. But it's still dicey. I think the Sejuani at least is safe for now. Unless there's something like a Grasp of the Undying. It'd have to be a removal spell. I believe the second Fury of the North would have come down immediately, so at least that's off the table. Okay, so Grasp actually coming down onto the Black Market Merchant. So 8 damage going to get pushed through by this Endure. The Endure not going to die. Tryndamere going to die, and we are back in potential lethal range from Atrocity. Of course, does have the Withering Wail to save him, so that's something at least. Looks like he is actually going to pass the turn because Withering Wail would kill him. Pilfered Goods, not a bad pickup. And there's a good chance that... So if Real Key goes for Atrocity lethal here... So I was going to say that if Real Key goes for Atrocity lethal, then Hand of Mine could actually have lethal thanks to the Citrus Courier, but now doesn't have mana for the Citrus Courier and the Withering Wail. And the Withering Wail is necessary to stop an Atrocity lethal. Spider Queen Elise doesn't impact too much, I think. Island Navigator is actually a pretty good attack here. The Lonely Poro, a little bit weird to me. Just a little bit. And there's a pretty good chance that Real Key just goes for lethal here if they do have the Atrocity. Hand of Mine has already stolen 2 copies of the Withering Wail. It's pretty unreasonable to think that he stole the 3rd copy as well. And there's no life gain in... Sorry. There's no hand of gain in... There's no life gain in Hand of Mine's deck. So it would have to be a card that was stolen from Real Key, which is the case here. And if we see Hand of Mine go for this Withering Wail proactively, that could be lethal. Okay, doesn't go for it. Is going to continue to play around this Atrocity, at least until Real Key taps out of it.
Where are you?
Ooh. Brood Awakening is possible. Does still keep you on the Withering Wail mana, so I don't hate it. Things do get a little scary next turn when you do have to Withering Wail to prevent the lethal from the attack from the They Who Endure. So I do think I'd actually like Hand of Mine throwing out the Sejuani. Okay, okay, this is actually fine. So you know your opponent doesn't have any Withering Wails because you took all of them. You took all 3 Withering Wails out of your opponent's deck. The chances of them blocking with this They Who Endure is pretty low, which means you're going to get the Plunder off, which means you're going to get the Citrus Courier off. And getting off Citrus Courier is like the best thing that you could possibly do this turn. It has the best chance of presenting lethal, as well as the attack from this Omen Hawk would trigger the Sejuani, you know, making the Endure small. You don't have to worry about this for the rest of the turn, which is why Real Key has played so defensively of their life total thus far. Does not want the Sejuani effect to go off. Grasp of the Undying onto the Sejuani. That is almost certainly going to get met out by the Withering Well. This is, you know, there's no option for the Atrocity to come out now, so you might as well take out this Endure while you can. You don't have anything that actually stops you from losing your Sejuani here. You can get the pilfered goods off post-combat as well as get down a couple of 1/1s. Actually, I think I would have preferred... there's a non-zero chance that I preferred Withering Wailing after combat, just to clean up the Spiderling that comes out of the Hapless Aristocrat instead now. Your Omen Hawk gets to live, the Spiderling gets to live. I don't think you really care about this Omen Hawk. I'm actually really not sure why the block came down onto the Omen Hawk instead of the Island Navigator either. Holy crap. Okay, let me look at this deck list. How many Atrocity are in this deck? Because if it's 2... Where's this deck list? Hold on. I cannot believe the amount of key cards that Hand of Mine has been able to pick up this game so far. Stole 2 Atrocity, all 3 copies of... Is that just lethal? Hold on, wait, no. Let me look this up first. Okay, there are actually 3 Atrocity in the deck, so Hand of Mine didn't even get all the Atrocities. But he did steal 2 Atrocity, a Brood Awakening, and 3 copies of Withering Wail. But there's nothing to stop this They Who Endure lethal without... I mean, you stole some good cards, but you didn't steal the key cards, man. You didn't steal any copies of They Who Endure. Real Key picks up 2 of them. You helped him get there. And yeah, without Plunder being activated this turn, the Citrus Courier heal is not going to get off. And that is going to be Hand of Mine falling 0-2 here. In what was a doozy of a match. Whew, man, that was a lot of, like, that's like your almost your ideal situation for Pilfer decks. Like, obviously you would like to take They Who Endure, but if you can't take any copies of They Who Endure, that's about as good as it gets. Let me check to see if Crotch Extreme is still really laggy for me. Just from the load in, it looks to be the case. Yeah, the animations are still just really choppy. That is extremely unfortunate, as I would love to get them on stream. Coming to Gratcher's game just as Gratcher picks that one up 2-1. So we'll hop back in with Zeno, who is sitting in the main menu, which I believe means that their match is done as well. So rather than show you nothing and go back to a break, we are going to watch Crotchik's game, as choppy as it is, just because there are no other options, and I really don't want to sit here and go to another break with you guys. So here we do see Crotchik still on the PNZ. Is this still game 1? I think this... No, there's no way. Not in round 8. Surely there's no way that in round 8 we're still in game 1. I don't remember what Phillips was playing game 1, but Crotchik's on the same deck, so I'm assuming the Crotchik is currently down 0-1. Playing this Sejuani Teemo deck. It looks like this is Karma Lux on the side of Phillips. Can't imagine anything else playing Shadow Assassin, and that it looks like there's a Karma in the hand as well. All right, we do see the Sejuani come down. I really do like Sejuani as a card. I think this card's actually really cool. Yeah, that was a Karma. And now a full-on attack from Crotchik. I actually like this. Okay, even gonna pull the Badger Bear onto the 2-3. I mean, I like pulling it onto the 2-3, but maybe going for the bait here. If Phillips goes to block this 2-3 with the Karma, Crotchik does have the Thermo Beam follow-up to actually take it out. Starlight Seer is the name of this card, right? Is it a 2-drop? No, it's a 3-drop, right? Right? Holy crap, is it a 2-drop? Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that I have the... Okay, yeah, it is a 2-drop. Okay, yeah, so yeah, it is called Starlight Seer, sorry. Taking a second there. All right, we do see the Will of Ionia onto the Sejuani. It's pretty unfortunate, but at least the... Oh, man. Yeah, so the stream quality isn't... It's not my stream. It is the Discord stream. I don't know if that's my end or Crotchick's end, but for some reason it is only this stream that's having this quality. And like I said, unfortunately, like this is pretty reduced quality, just in terms of like the actual stream, not the play or anything like that. But we are out of other matches, so this is the only one left. And I'd rather show you guys this than trying to find more League music for you. So, ooh, Unyielding Spirit is going to be really difficult for Crotchick to get through. Does have the option to just kind of stall that out with Sejuani. We are going to see a whiff on the Shroom. 9 in deck out of 25. Yeah, it's pretty reasonable to whiff the Shroom there, I feel. Excuse me, I'm all hiccupy now. There's the Karma Evolution. That's a problem. I mean, the Karma does push back damage onto the Sejuani, but with 2 Fury of the North, this could be lethal from Crotchick. It's pretty unlikely, but it's not out of the realm of possibility by any means. Sorry, I was trying to look up the name of the card that draws both players a card. I'm unfamiliar with the cards in the Teemo Sejuani deck. Veteran Investigator, that's the one. Yeah, Concentrated Strike. I don't think there's anything you can do to protect this Sejuani. Well, actually, I could have... So it's 14 damage coming at the Sejuani, so... Oh, there's only 1 Fury of the North? Did that get used onto the 1? Did that happen pre-combat? Probably. Sorry, guys. I was looking up card names, and I apparently missed some important things. I do heavily apologize for that. Don't like to miss things, but was a little distracted by some card names. Oh, the health... Yeah, I don't think Crotchick's going to be able to find their way back into this one. Not with the double health potion, the Radiant Guardian on field, this Undying Karma. Yeah, Thermo Beam's going to come out onto the Radiant Guardian. Makes a lot of sense. Clear that away. Crotchick is set up to have a really big unit on top of his deck. If he can find the right one, preferably a Teemo, I think, then we could actually see him just win this game on the spot. Oh, and it is a Teemo. That's a big Teemo. But there have only been 11 Shrooms shuffled into the deck of Crotchick so far this game, which I believe is a Puff Cap or a Teemo attack, followed by 2 spells from a Puff Cap Peddler. And there's 2 randomly created Radiant Guardians. I don't know if... I would believe that the Radiant Guardians have chances to get separate targets, so a little unfortunate for Philps that he did get the 2 worst ones. Don't think he's going to be too broken up about it, though, as 2 5/5s are pretty good anyway. And that's on guard. This is disastrous. That's going to push a lot of damage, at least, onto the Teemo. Or just clear out the rest of the board. Also a reasonable decision. Yeah, we're going to see the Shrooms shuffled into the deck while there is still the 2 Starlight Seers on field. Might see a Fury of the North come out here, actually, to trade onto one of these Radiant Guardians, but it looks like Crotchick smartly is going to save this for next turn. Playing to win instead of playing to not lose, always something that I like to see out of players. Understands that his only real chance is Fury of the Northing this Teemo. And then you would have to assume that Phillips is going to draw a Shroom at that point, right? He doesn't have any lifesteal on board. There could be a health potion in the hand. There's the Shroom. That's all he needed. All in on this play is Crotchick. Tournament life on the line. Fury of the North on the Teemo. Can we get it done? The stream taunting me by lagging out when this happens. Come on, Crotchick. Come on, Teemo for the... Oh, I saw a Will of Ionia. I saw Will. I was so hyped for this Teemo to like get there, and I was gonna pop off, and then I saw Will of Ionia. That's gonna be Philps picking that one up. 2-0. So we are gonna go back into a break before our top 8. Thank you guys so much for coming out. So I believe that was one of our last matches. So we will be getting into the top 8 very shortly here. I'm going to throw you guys to another break, put on some League of Legends music for you, and then we'll be back with the top 8. And as mentioned previously, you can see in the top corner, TCG Boulevard, I will have the games on YouTube after the stream is over. It'll take a